Welcome to this explainer. If you've been paying any attention at all to the tech world lately, you've probably noticed this profound, almost seismic structural shift happening right beneath our feet in the world of artificial intelligence. We're finally moving past that initial crazy hype cycle, and what's emerging is a fascinating split. It's what we call the Great AI Divergence. Today, we're going to explore exactly why consumer AI adoption is hitting a massive wall, while enterprise AI deployment is, quite frankly, absolutely surging.
Okay, let's dive into this because this is a question that probably hits pretty close to home for a lot of us. Think about your own experience for a second. You probably tried a general chatbot, maybe generated some weird, funny images, and then you just kind of stopped, right? If you're feeling frustrated or bored with these tools, you are absolutely not alone. But here's the wild part. Right behind closed corporate doors, businesses are quietly pouring multi-million-dollar budgets into an absolute AI revolution. To understand why your personal AI feels totally stalled while corporate AI is taking over the world, we really need to look at the two distinct realities unfolding right now. Section 1, the AI adoption divergence. A tale of two realities.
So on the consumer side, things are just stalling out. We're seeing flattened growth curves, declining daily active users, and a very real, measurable drop in engagement with those public-facing novelty chatbots and image generators. People are simply losing interest. But jump over to the enterprise side, it is a completely different universe. We are seeing aggressive, massive budget increases. We're talking millions of dollars in infrastructure investments being deployed annually per organization, and the rapid integration of highly specialized autonomous task runners right into everyday business workflows. It is an all-out sprint.
Section 2, from novelty to utility, the two paths.
So how do we get here? Well, let's trace the journey. Here is the consumer path, and I bet this is going to sound super familiar. It starts with step 1, novelty discovery. You try a public chatbot out of pure curiosity. Then, step 2, habit testing. You actually try to use it for real life. Maybe you ask it to plan a complex vacation itinerary or sort out a busy schedule. But then, bam, you hit step 3, encountering limitations. The outputs feel generic, flat, or worse, it hallucinates and confidently books you a hotel that literally doesn't exist. Finally, step 4, disengagement. The friction is just way too high, so you give up and revert back to the traditional search engines and digital tools you've always used.
Now, what's really interesting about this is contrasting that consumer drop-off with the enterprise path, because corporate AI does not start with novelty. It starts with step 1, assessment and baseline. IT leaders systematically audit manual processes and actually hunt down shadow AI, which basically means employees secretly using unauthorized tools just to see what actually needs automating. Step 2 is governance creation, laying down strict data rules and compliance. Step 3 is pilot integration, where they carefully connect task-specific models into local workflows. And step 4 is optimization and scaling. Once the tool proves it saves time or money, executive teams unleash formal budgets to expand it. It is a highly structured, relentless progression from discovery to scaling. Section 3, unbounded versus bounded spaces, the mechanics of divergence. But why exactly does the consumer fail where the enterprise succeeds? It really comes down to the environment itself. The consumer internet operates as an unbounded space. Basically, the environment is wide open. The range of prompts you might type into a chatbot is literally infinite, and what counts as a good answer is completely subjective. To handle this, tech companies have to build massive, incredibly expensive, trillion-parameter models, trying to know everything about everything. And because they are spread so incredibly thin across infinite topics, they are highly prone to just making things up. When we think about these two environments side by side, the contrast is night and day. On one hand, you have that messy, unbounded consumer space, infinite prompts, broad models, hallucination central. But on the other hand, we have the bounded space, the closed corporate system. In a business, AI isn't asked to write a creative poem or explain the origins of the universe. It has known inputs and expected outputs, like correctly parsing a very specific financial invoice. If it fails, it's a hard, measurable failure. And because the space is tightly bounded, companies can use optimized, highly targeted small language models that are incredibly accurate for that one specific job. And this structural difference creates two totally different user experiences. For consumers, we fall into the default behavior friction cycle. We want one generalist tool to do the whole shebang, and when it fails a complex task, we experience friction and simply abandon it. But enterprises, they succeed through the contextual integration layer. They don't want some separate chatbot window open. They embed AI directly into their existing software architecture. The AI pulls directly from secure, structured internal databases where the actual work lives, rather than relying on random, chaotic data scraped from the public internet.
Which brings us to the AI tax. This is industry shorthand for the time it takes to rework and validate an AI's output. Because let's be honest, both systems face this tax. AI makes mistakes everywhere. But look at the divergence here. For consumers, the AI tax causes immediate frustration. I mean, if you have to entirely rewrite the email the AI drafted for you, why even use it, right? You abandon it. But enterprises structurally solve this. They deliberately build human-in-the-loop workflows specifically designed to systematically absorb and manage that verification time. They know the tax is coming, and they plan for it.
Section 4. The chain of impact, following the domino effect. Let's move on and see how this builds, because this massive behavioral gap doesn't just affect individual users, it is reshaping the whole economy in a perfect domino effect. Step 1. Consumer engagement flatlines as people get frustrated. Step 2. Because the users are leaving, AI developers naturally shift their focus away from public chatbots. Step 3. The really big money follows those developers, so capital investments get heavily rerouted into enterprise B2B software. Step 4. All that money leads to the rapid development of secure, task-specific agents, which finally leads us to Step 5. Corporations completely restructure their internal systems around these new automated workflows. The money and the infrastructure are literally leaving the consumer behind. Section 5. Practical implications for you, career, budgets, and apps.
So, what does this whole macroeconomic pivot actually mean for you? Well, the takeaways are incredibly clear. First, for professionals, basic AI literacy is no longer optional. Mastery of specialized enterprise tools, whether that's legal analysis, medical coding, or software debugging, is going to directly influence your career advancement. For corporate budgets, the impact is intense peer pressure. If a company delays adopting these tools, they are seeing measurable losses in market competitiveness. For the consumer software you buy, expect generalist kitchen sink models to fade out, replaced by hyper-focused niche apps for specific life stages. And finally, for data teams, clean, structured internal data is now an absolute prerequisite. Fragmented databases simply can't scale AI, period.
Section 6. Hidden risks and limitations, the corporate roadblocks. Now, and this brilliantly illustrates the reality on the ground. Before we go thinking this corporate AI surge is just a flawless victory lap, we have to recognize the severe hidden hazards. Because get this, despite the millions upon millions of dollars being poured into corporate AI, an estimated 50% of corporate generative AI projects fail right after the initial proof of concept phase. Only half proceed to actually scale across the business. That is a staggeringly massive failure rate for such a heavily funded space. So why are half of these expensive projects failing? The answer is system rigidities. You can have the smartest, fastest small language model in the entire world, but if it cannot reliably integrate with a company's legacy software stock, the old clunky code a company's been running on for 20 years, the project just dies. Old corporate tech is acting as a massive bottleneck to the AI revolution. And beyond those internal coding issues, there are massive external pressures capping expansion. First up, environmental resistance. Building these required AI data centers is incredibly energy-intensive, and corporations are facing severe community pushback over pollution, natural resource use, and local power grid strain. Second is vendor lock-in. If a massive corporation relies entirely on a single external AI vendor for its infrastructure, they are highly vulnerable. Think about it. A price hike, a security breach, or a service shutdown from that one vendor could paralyze the entire company. Which brings us to our final thought today. We are seeing the rapid rise of the autonomous enterprise agent, AI that can initiate actual business actions without a human. And this creates a massive governance and traceability gap. So I want to leave you with this question to ponder. Who is legally and financially responsible when an autonomous enterprise agent updates a live database and executes a bad financial decision entirely on its own? As corporations eagerly hand over the wheel to capture unprecedented productivity, these immense, unresolved dangers remain.